Good morning, everyone. I'm Sacha Lorkin from Access Machinery. I'm the Quebec director, and today we're going to showcase the AD Servo, our bestseller hybrid press brake, together with Andrew Vicente, our application specialist. So this specific machine is a 12-foot, 175 tons. But before going too deep into specifications, let's go back to 1950s, when the first press brakes were made. So they were mostly fully mechanical, and they were using classic hydraulic cylinders. But the precision, speed, and safety was not there. Nowadays, we have a full range of press brakes, starting from the basic hydraulic press brake, 3-axis, to the fully electrical press brakes. So again, this specific machine is the hybrid press brake. It's powerful, and actually we are the only ones who can go up to 600 tons and 20 feet. So maybe Andrew, you would like to complete a bit?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sacha. So as Sacha said, I'm Andrew Vicente here at Access Machinery. If you watched our previous live streams, you're probably very familiar with me right now. But anyway, so with this machine, as we said before, it's a servo-driven machine. So it actually uses 2 servo motors in this case to actually run a hydraulic pump. So it's very accurate, and there's no idle time. So we have a lot of power savings, not just because the motors are more efficient, but because, as you can hear right now, we are talking to you, and you don't hear a thing out of this machine because it's not really running until I command it to run. So the power savings is a big feature on this machine, not only just the noise level. So also with this machine as well, we have hydraulic clamping as a feature, which we'll talk more and more about as we go.
So this feature will save you a lot of time during the tooling setup, as we will see during the demo.
Absolutely. It absolutely saves you a lot of time. And because of the bed size as well, we have a lot of ability to set up here, and you're going to see that as we go on. This machine specifically also has a 4-axis back cage, which helps you with setup on this machine as well, paired with a very nice, easy-to-use touch control, which we'll get into more detail later as well. All right, Sacha, what do you think about...
So maybe we can continue now with the showcases.
That's right.
So today we are prepared 3 showcases. The first one will be a job shop, so a part that we got from a job shop. Is doing custom parts, and we're gonna do on mild steel 40 tau. So that's the part, initial part. There you go, Andrew.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, if you watched our last live stream or previous one, you would recognize this part. So little thing there for fun.
Absolutely. We actually laser cut this part during the live stream. So I encourage you to watch it if you didn't watch it yet.
That's right.
We can continue.
Let's go.
The Delum touchscreen interface available on this machine makes setup much easier for your operator. You can control the tooling through a graphical user interface to know where you should be putting your tooling. A very easy to use control will limit the setup time you would normally have. Seen here is a 4-axis back gauge system. We have independent axes here. Let us gauge on many different points of the machine. Specifically here, we have the X, R, Z1, and Z2 back gauge, as you see moving across. The back gauge moves very quickly, and based on the machine spec you're looking at, refer to the brochure on the exact speeds. This part needs a complex setup, and this is why our graphical user interface tells us exactly where these tools should go. Equipped with a hydraulic clamping system, the tooling setup is simplified here. Through the very accurate back gauging here, these small flanges can be bent with high accuracy and high repeatability. Despite this being a complex part, because of the graphical user interface and the ease of use on the machine, this part is easy to process.
All right, so here's our part. As you can see, it's fairly complex actually, and that's why we have a bigger bed as well. So now I can do this all in one setup. As you can see here, I would not be able to use a larger tool for all the flanges on this part. So that's why a larger bed is even good for smaller parts like this. As you can see, I have a multi setup right here. Now it's already set up. And even still, if a rush job comes in, I'm already set up. I can move a setup over here, which you'll see me do soon as well. This part looks good, doesn't it, Sasha?
Perfect. Looks awesome. So another feature I would like to tell about this press brake is the croning system. So this press brake has a CNC croning system. So basically, this system will compensate the deflection during the bending, and it will give you the perfect angle and perfect bending.
That's right. It also talks directly to control. So we have a feedback system here that talks to each of the servos, not only on the bottom, but up here as well, giving full feedback to the controls. So that's how I'm able to bend on this side of the machine and go all the way over to the other side, and my bend will just be as consistent as it was. In the middle side, doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So I guess now we can continue with the second showcase. So this second part is a stainless part, 40 thou, and it's used in the washroom industry or industrial kitchen industry. So we can continue.
That's right. Again, previous stream. You've seen this before. All right.
Again.
With the Delum Touch interface, we can store other programs in the machine so we don't have to completely break our setup here to set up these tools. We also can return to those programs anytime and call them back up. The hydraulic clamping system makes it very easy to install tools as seen here, and we also don't have to worry about any gaps in the tooling, so smaller tooling can be installed anywhere we want. Because of the graphical user interface telling us exactly where to put the tools, it's as simple as following the numbers to know where you need to put the tooling. This part requires a specific type of accuracy. Being a box, we need to make sure that our tooling and our bends perfectly fit within here. The hesitation you're seeing here is actually the standard light safety system. The machine has to be confirmed to enter box mode to ensure that your fingers are not in the way.
So now we're done with the second part.
Perfect. So as you can see, this part is actually, it's like a box style part, but it actually has some very complex and very tight bends. And as you can see, some very important angles to match up here. And this is why the servo system gives us this ability, along with the crowning, to give us these kind of accurate bends, replicating this many, many times over. And this is mainly due in part by an easy-to-use control that tells me exactly where to put the tools. As you can see, I've set up these tools over here without breaking this setup. I know exactly where I need to put it because on the control here, it's showing me where I need to put these tools. So I have it exactly here. I don't have any room for error because on this part, as you saw in the video, I have to fit it in between the box or else this bend is not going to work. So it's very important that we have our tool set up accurate, and a system like this makes it very easy to do that.
Absolutely.
On top of that, we also have very robust control of the bends. Again, they're very tight, so corrections are very easy to make in this case. So that's why this part is well suited for a servo system like this, where very accurate bending is required in all aspects. Here you go, Sasha.
Absolutely. Some questions later.
Oh, we got questions.
So I guess we can go back a bit to the controller. So again, this is a Delum 6060 touchscreen controller. You can actually do 2D programming directly on the screen or 3D simulations. You can easily import your drawings through the USB port that we can see there on the side. And maybe, how do you feel with the controller, Andrew? Is it easy to use? How do you feel about it?
So, like I was saying before as well, like for example, I've already made corrections here, and you'll see that in the videos as well. But all I have to do is come back to the control, make my correction, start it, and continue bending as I was. So very easy here, very well labeled. So if I want to change my degrees, it's very clear what's changing. You're not worried about axis or measurements. The machine is measuring for you. If you want 2 degrees more, you tell the machine, give me 2 degrees more, and it will. That's how accurate this kind of system is here. And of course, as well, with the tool setup page, it's very easy to continue setting up this machine and even taking out the tools of the hydraulic system here. So even with the hydraulic system, if I release the clamps right here, you can see how easy it is to remove a tool and even put it back in. Just like that, it comes out, no problem.
So easy.
All right, so that's why this control I'm a huge fan of with the hydraulic clamping. Everything pulls itself in. You don't have to worry about holding up the tools or anything like that. Everything is pulled back in, very accurate. That's why I can switch my setups very quickly and even set up multi-stage setup in one bend and keep going. Very, very productive machine, and that's why the bedside is used.
That's perfect. So now we can continue with the third and last showcase, which is, again, we come back to mild steel material. It's going to be a 14 gauge. And this part, can you tell us a bit about this part? What's the application for this part?
Yeah, so the challenge here is that, you saw the more complicated box parts we did earlier, but here we just have a simple flange here. And I'm sure if any of you operators are watching, you've had your boss run up to you and say, I quickly need this part programmed. We don't have time to go in the office and fiddle with this. I have a flange here. Just can you please make this into, for the construction industry specifically, this is a channel. All they want to do is some TD programming. So you'll see me do shortly some programming here, but it's very easy to quickly program a job, and I can have this flange out very live, and I'm pretty much going to do it live right in front of you. So
absolutely,
there you go.
Let's bend.
Perfect.
The Delum control, seen here on this machine, lets us program 2D flanges right on the machine for quick and simple 2D programming. Punch in a few specs, and you can easily have a part within minutes here. Simply touching around on the screen will create the flanges, specify the angle, and specify the flange length, and you have a part. We also have an available 3D interface on these machines as well for 3D programming and simulation. Again, tooling is easy to move around and set a spot, and we even get an automatic simulation of how the part should be bent. We also get a 3D simulation on how the bends are going to be done to check for any collisions against the tooling we have here. Large tooling such as this are a cinch to install using the hydraulic clamping system. As you can see here, I very quickly did a setup. The large bed size also makes it able to have multiple setups while maintaining this one as well. Long parts such as this can be a hassle if it was not for the automatic crowning system this machine is installed with. It is also optional on our other models of machines, but without the crowning system here, this bend would not be straight across the entire length of the bed. I know the sequence of the bends because the screen is showing me which way the part should be bent and how many times I have to flip it, simplifying the operator use here.
Welcome, guys. So we are done with the third part.
That's right. I had to put the part down for a moment because it's quite heavy.
It's
but
quite heavy.
right now.
So as we can see, the press brake is very essential for that type of parts, of product. So specifically this machine, hybrid, we have customers asking, why should we take a hybrid? Why should we go with the press brake hybrid? Well, the answer is easy. We have a few advantages, such as the consumption. We can save a lot on the consumption.
That's right. There's very little oil, like I said before, on this machine. So even the maintenance fees just on oil alone and the environmental impact is significantly less because there's so much less oil on this machine.
So we can save up to 70% on energy costs.
That's right.
I'm right. We also can talk about the special features that we have available on this machine. The first one will be the DAM. So what is DAM? DAM is Durma angle measurement. That's automatic system that will auto-correct the angle while the process bending. And so basically you have laser sensors sliding on the bed, and they're taking the few points of the angle and auto-correct them. So that's again powerful feature that will help you a lot.
Exactly, and along with the angle measurement, not only does it help with your first toss, because now my first part will actually be correct off the bend, so I don't lose it, but it also helps material variances. Everybody knows that when you order different batches of materials, what happens is that you have different coils, slightly different compositions, equals slightly different bends. Whereas DIM is always correcting for this, so the operator doesn't really have to think about it. Once they set their angles correctly, everything is already measured here and handled for you like magic.
Perfect.
That's right. So we have a part right here like this. So this part really takes advantage of the crowning system here, and it's quite heavy, so bear with me. The crowning system here takes advantage, and as you can see, that even with a long bend like this, it's nice and straight, nice and accurate, and this is only possible because the feedback of the system here. So even if I went for the full bed length, which would be extremely heavy, and that's why we have a system like sheet followers, which this machine has manual followers, but you can get automatic followers to help you lift the part up. In this case, this is why this machine is well suited for, you know, small parts
Absolutely.
and large parts together. You want to try giving that a
Thank
whirl?
you. There you go.
Get your workout in.
It's quite huge. Thank you, Andrew. Something else that we can mention is the interconnectivity between the machines. So we actually have the possibility to connect all Durma machines through the Durma cloud. So you can, you know, combine the production and make sure you have a combined production.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So Durma Cloud is very important, so you can view the software all together on different machines from the office, so you can stay nice and cool in your office.
Absolutely.
While I'm lifting heavy parts up here.
Absolutely.
That's right. So I wanted to talk about some of the bones of this machine as well. So this machine is actually a monoframe system. As you can see here, very cast. And we also have a cutout here so we can get the full bed length. So we're not losing the sides where the frame meets. We actually get that full 3.7 meter bed length that we were talking about earlier. So that's a very unique feature of Durma. Again, I'm going to come back to this hydraulic clamping system. This system is very powerful, and the fact that we can change our tooling very quickly, very quick setup.
As you can see in the demo.
Right. Exactly, and as you can see, I've switched setups here, but I haven't even broken my complex setup here. The simpler setups are very easy through the control as well. So that's why a hydraulic clamping system is a nice feature. There's no need to, you're probably aware of, centering the ram on the bottom here, because on the bottom it's already centered by the hydraulic clamping system. So that's why I'm able to switch over very quickly and put tools in and take them out, go to bending, take out, put more, change setups, back and forth very quickly on a system like this. We know that tool setup is one of the longest things to set up for a machine, unfortunately. So this system will help significantly with that. On top of that, the servos in the machine are Bosch servos, so they're very high quality servos. We have some Siemens electronics for the back end as well. These are all German components, so it's very high-end components on this machine. Of course, the machine is built in Turkey, which I hope you understand now. So with our system here, so that's why I put a lot of trust in this machine, and it really is truly a high-quality, well-built machine. In this case, with many additional features we could add.
Absolutely. And again, this is the best seller we have with the hybrid press brakes. So again, this is 175 tons, but we can go up to 600 tons.
So, right. So yeah, 600 tons and even 10
absolutely.
If you need it.
And 20 feet. Absolutely.
Right. Which is actually the largest in the industry.
Right. Absolutely. I guess we can go to the question if we have any questions so far.
So questions? Well, the questions come in, yeah.
And if you have questions, you can actually post them on the right through the chat.
Please do, yes.
So, actually we have two questions. So the first one will be, what's the maximum length and tonnage on this press brake, on this machine? So again, on this specific version, hybrid, we can go up to 600 tons and the 20 feet length.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which, again, very large and the largest in the industry for servo.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Question number 2, which software are you using?
So we're using a software called
D-Bend?
D-Bend. So it's actually pre-programmed parts. So the more complex parts, unlike the one I just showed you there, the more complex box parts, I'm actually able to simulate here and actually see if I'm able to even produce those bendings through the tooling in the software here, so that you'll actually generate something like this. I'll get a report up for you. You'll end up with a report like this, which will help you set up the machine properly.
Perfect.
So now I can read from the report, and I know exactly what my bends look like if I go to the part here. Now I can see what the sequence is on everything here, because it tells me exactly how to bend it. So it's useful to have bending software, but it's not required depending what you're doing. But the more complex part of it, it is recommended to have a system like this. And of course, you can load the programs through USB, so it's done 95% of the footwork for you. Maybe just some minor adjustments, and everything will be perfect.
And what kind of information can you get from these reports?
Oh, we get everything
Yeah?
you'd ever want. So not only do we get the bend order here, but we actually get an isometric view.
It's perfect.
We also get the bend order as well. So it tells me exactly, you can see it, exactly how to bend the tool, or how to put the tool, sorry, and even how to bend it, what orientation. So I'm never guessing which way the part needs to be. I have a drawing right here to tell me making setup as easy as it could be with using software.
Perfect. We actually have a new question from Kemal, if I'm right. So we're asking if this press brake is actually faster than standard press brake. So yes, it is absolutely. If we compare to hydraulic press brake, it is much faster.
That's
and
right.
Precise.
Approaching speed is very quick on this machine, so we don't have to worry about it. As you can see, the ram moves very quickly up and down.
It's very fast.
Quick approach speed, very fast.
Yeah.
So yes, this machine, not only is Servo more energy efficient, more powerful, more accurate, it's also faster. So there's only benefits to the Servo machine.
And the noise level, like right now
again.
it's on and we cannot hear anything, so it's very silent compared to hydraulic press brake.
That's right. We're having a conversation over right now.
Yeah, perfect.
That's right.
So I guess if we don't have any more questions, maybe we can talk a bit more about the sheet followers.
Oh, absolutely. So right
I think it's
I'll take my happy little puppy mug off
Yeah.
there. We have the followers right here. So here's the system we have. So this one's a manual sheet follower, as you can tell. Oh, not follower, sorry, I should say sheet support.
Sheet support,
Seat
right?
support. So this is a manual system, but the sheet followers would use the same system here to help you lift the bend. So on a long press like this, if you're doing a lot of long channel work, you're going to need that help to push it up.
Right.
So that's going to require either two operators, or instead you can have the sheet followers to help your operator do one at a time. We know how hard it is to get labor sometimes nowadays. This is another automation feature here that's going to help you significantly. So again, this machine has a lot of different options you can put on it. Very customizable. You can put everything, all the bells and whistles on it, and you're going to have a perfect machine.
Thank you, Andrew.
No problem.
Do we have any more questions? I guess no, not for now.
Oh, we got a question. Perfect.
Can you specify? Okay, so we got a new question from Irvin. Thank you, Irvin, for asking. Can you specify what's the difference between hydraulic brake and servo press brake? Absolutely.
All right. Sasha, you want to take that one, or you want me to do that?
You can take
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Irvin, for asking.
Appreciate it. So, as again, I talked about the early the oil system, why it has to be smaller. So this still has a small oil reservoir, but on a regular hydraulic, you have an inverter motor that has to constantly run the entire time using actuating valves that open and close based on how much fluid is being pumped through the system. Okay, so that requires a large fluid reservoir to pump it all the way through and back through the main pump on the top. So this is always running, taking energy, requiring more oil, and your accuracy is determined by those actuators and how accurate everything is in sinks, and even your fluid quality. Your fluid quality, with being so much there, if the quality starts to drop, your accuracy changes as well. With the servo brake, because we have two servos that are very accurately controlled, if you know, with AC motors, you only have so much accuracy, whereas with servos, everything's perfectly tracked on an encoder. We can get very accurate bends on each side as the servos turn, push that oil in a perfect level back and forth with direct feedback back to the NC, not relying on the actuators and endpoints to have that bending. So there's many, many advantages to the servo system over hydraulic. This is the future going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. We actually have a new question. Again, thank you guys for the questions. So I guess it's a good sign. So it was asking about the laser sensor. So yes, we actually have sensor on this press brake that we can see on both sides.
Yes.
For safety.
That's right.
So there are sensor. If you go ahead, like if you put the hand, it will automatically do stuff.
So this system right here, it lasers across and looks for your finger. If you watch during the stainless steel part I bent, you'll notice that the ram hesitated for a moment. It's because those side flanges are considered box ones. So that would be like your finger in there. But we can always override it, but it requires operator intervention, so it's safe to use. So once the ram stops at the stop point for the box bending, once you press this button here, we can override it. So the operator is very aware of what he's doing. It's not a dangerous situation where he forgets to turn that on or off. It happens automatically, telling you that, hey, pay attention. We're going to be bending close to your fingers or even close to the edge of a flange. Be careful.
And that's standard. As a safety, that's standard.
Okay, let's... More questions? Okay, perfect.
Okay, we got again a new question. Here you can see.
All right.
So what about energy consumption between servo press brake and hydraulic press brake? So again, if we compare hydraulic and hybrid press brake, we can save up to 70% on energy, on consumption costs.
That's right. Big difference, as I said. And even still with the energy consumption, your environmental impact of the oil, again, so much less in this machine. Not just cost for you for oil, but cost for the environment.
That's okay. Energy. Yeah, we got it. And actually, I want to show you something. We actually have side doors that we can open on this machine, like this. I'm not sure if we can see right now.
Yep.
Yep. There you go.
There we go. Perfect.
So that's very convenient.
That's the convenience of this. Very easy to use. Once you release the latch here, you can move the sensor up and down. Easy to calibrate. You have a jig that helps you put it with the tooling. It won't take you very long at all to set these light berries up. Not at all. Perfect.
So I guess we're done with the questions.
We got plenty more. We got a lot of engagements.
Again, more.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a question from John. Do you have 9-axis back gauge?
9-axis back gauge. Well,
okay.
That's the system there. So yes, we do have a system. So we have many different systems. So you probably saw that the servo move up and down, left and right, back and forth with the back gauge. But we actually have systems that can independently move the fingers back and forth, which is great for bends where you can't back gauge properly on one side. So we can move those fingers back and forth, tilt it back and forth, many different operations depending. So the more axes you add on a back gauge, the more simplified, shockingly, your bending becomes because it's easier to back gauge on certain positions instead of having to constantly pull your fingers, modify the finger positions, or have to gauge against a radius or something like that where you didn't want to actually gauge against where it might not be accurate. So the high-axis back gauge can be great for complex parts and simplifying the setup of those complex parts. So we have the system set up so you tell us what kind of parts you have, and we will accordingly do the back gauge. Or in the future, if you just want to be future-proofed, you can go right to the top of their 9-back gauge system, 9-axis system.
Okay, we have one more question. Can you import DXF DWG into controller through a thumb drive?
Yes,
we can.
About USB, that's right.
Absolutely.
We talked about the USB here. So not only
that's a good question.
Bending, exactly. That's a good question. Not only can you take bending programs like I did earlier, you could take a DXF directly into this, touch the bend lines, and have it bend as much as you can. And you probably saw from my live bending there on the channel we did earlier that you can see how I'm controlling the bends and where I want to put them. And it even gives you some sequencing. You probably saw me flipping that part around on that video there. You can actually see what it looks like right away, and it actually converts it into 3D so you can see that view.
Thank you, Andrew. And we actually have the second part of the question. Do they need to come already with the bending lines?
That is not required. We can put our own bending lines in. We can specify where that is. It's not required at all. Is it helpful? Yes, it is helpful, but again, not required. If you just want to simply export a simple flat into the control, we can specify where these bend lines are going to be right on the control. So either way you want to do it, lots and lots of flexibility on this control. All right, great questions. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, new question. Do you have offline software option? And if you have, could you explain, please?
Yes. I briefly explained it earlier, but yes, we do. It's called Deepend. Again, I'll pull it a report so you can see it. So with Deepend, the more complicated part I did first here, again, I would not be able to do it easily without this report. So I was simply able to program it offline. It can tell me where the collisions are beforehand, so I'm not left guessing over here, scratching my head, which sequence do I do, or is this the right tool, or do I have the right height, or is this the right spacing? The software actually figured out the spacing for me. It told me you need a 35, 20, 25, and a 30 here. It told me exactly what to do. Very easy setup on this, because otherwise your operator is going to have to be extremely skilled and know way ahead of time what setup to put here. And there's very talented individuals out there, but even still, I'm sure that he'd appreciate the help. He or she would appreciate the help with the setup if it tells you exactly what you need to do beforehand. And also, you don't have to run back to the engineer saying, this flange is not going to work because it's colliding with our tooling. We know beforehand, and that's why we have the report telling us that. So Deepend is a great addition. You put it right into the control, program it. Again, 95% of the legwork done for you. You just got to make some small angle and maybe back gauge adjustments. Or if you get lucky, sometimes you don't even have to. And then you're perfect. And that's all you got to do. So Deepend's an important feature.
So I guess we have covered all questions.
Thank you very much.
Let's wait maybe one more minute to see if we have more
Yeah,
questions.
exactly, please do. So,
And I want to say about the next week. So we're going to be showcasing the hydraulic press brake, Durma. It's going to be different size, different tonnage. So stay tuned, and we will show you this machine again.
I'm excited about that machine as well. So different levels. We showed you the creme de la creme here, and we're going to walk through our other systems as we go on with these live stream, our other offerings we have here if you need different requirements. Oh, we got a question. Perfect.
Do you think automation? Oh no, one more question about automation. Yes, absolutely. Do you think automation can be adapted in the future? Yes. We can have, for example, the hand, the robotic arm.
That's right.
We use the Yaskawa robotic arm, and it can absolutely be integrated on this machine for automation. Absolutely.
Exactly. If you have a larger, if you need to do like 100 parts, you have larger lots of parts. A bending robot is a very nice addition as the process can keep continuing as you work on other things. The operator can program it, walk away, let the robot finish its job. So yeah, we can absolutely automate it that far with all the features we showed you before. So that's an absolute addition you could add to this machine, completely automating.
And again, all of this can be controlled through the cloud system. So by distance, you can control that from the office, from home. You can control everything through the cloud system.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, more questions.
One more question. So we got a question from John. Is your laser software connected to bending software?
Yes,
That's
so
a good
actually
question too.
The software here, on the laser software side, we can actually take the bending profile, like I said, and debend. And you can actually, what it'll do is it'll figure out those bend deductions. If you didn't decide that in the initial engineering stage, it'll take the bend deductions from the different V sizes and radiuses you used. Then when you flatten it out, your bend deduction is perfect because it's realistic to your tooling. You take those DSXs to the laser machine, and then now you have perfect flats. Very, very accurate. It's extremely important if you want extremely accurate parts and you don't want to be mucking with bend deductions or figuring that out. If you take it right from the bending software right to the laser, I guarantee everything's going to be perfectly in sync. That's a great feature and a great question to ask, actually.
Thank you guys for the questions. Again, this is the bestseller hybrid press brake, Durma. If you have any question, you can send us an email to info@accessmachinery.ca. We'll be glad to answer them. And see you next week.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, guys.